Hey, how's it going? My name is Jenna Matlin, and I am a tarot reader, tarot teacher, tarot author, tarot book creator, and spread maker. And today I wanted to share with you a spread that I created like probably a year ago, but I haven't had a chance to really share it with all of you until now. And this spread is called First Light, Healing from CPTSD. And I developed this spread for my own use of healing my own CPTSD, childhood trauma, who doesn't have it, and help me really just recognize when often I'm I'm in a place of trauma reenactment, or I'm in a trauma response and we don't always notice it. It can be very subtle, and what to do about it. So let me show you what the pieces are in play, and then we'll do a an example spread. So let me get my there we go. So I'll just show you the pieces first, and what they mean. So the first part that we would want to look at is the first spread is called, and these are cards I'd already pulled for it, so we'll do that in a second, is damage. And so what do I mean by damage? Damage is damage is like what habits show up that let me know that I'm in a trauma response, that's not good for me. Like, what is my check engine light? Often we don't notice that we're in trauma response until we're deep in it or through it. So what might be some signs that I can be aware of that I'm heading in that direction? And then once I notice the trauma response, I can then start to work through a process of healing that trauma. So once we have recognized that trauma, we then can really start with intention. Where would I like to be? And what can it look like for me should I heal from this trauma response? Like, what's the end goal? What does that look like for me in regards to this trauma response? And as I start doing the work to truly heal that trauma response, we get to the next piece of this spread, which is threshold. What initial challenges or difficult lessons may appear to block my progress that I need to be made aware of? When will resistance show its ugly head? And oftentimes we will mistake resistance to mean that we shouldn't do it because it doesn't feel good, rather than this is really just us and our growth edge. And if we realize that we are in our growth edge, then we can kind of sidestep those challenge points, or recognize that they're really at the threshold of where the healing really begins. Then after that, we have what I call first light. So what will be some of the first signs that show me that I'm really making these shifts and I'm truly on this healing path? Emergence is the next part. What signs will appear that can show me that my intention is being realized, that I'm really on the path of the shift towards the intention, which is really the final outcome in many ways? Then we have the final piece, souvenir. What tools, lessons, habits, or skills will I take with me after having undergone this journey to healing, and the results of the work? And then finally, like, who attends? What God archetype or internal part of me is watching over my unfolding and holding space for my healing work? Who can I call upon to support me during this process? First, recognizing your damage, then creating an intention for what does it look like to heal from the damage for you. Threshold, what are the challenge areas? How do you know you're really kind of like at the start of this, or what may try to turn you away from the work? First light, what are going to be some of those initial successes? Emergence, who are you coming out into being? That this intention is working and I'm actually unfolding. And then souvenir, what do I take with me as I carry this work that I've done and this healing work in the process? And then finally, who attends? Who's witnessing this work for me? So, yes, like I said, I had already done this. Now, if you're asking me what kind of shape should this take, should it be whatever makes sense to you. I like cutting out pieces of my spreads, and sometimes I'll play around with them just spatially to see what makes sense. You could do all kinds of crazy things. I'm going to leave this up to you to do. However, it makes sense to you. Um, so I'm going to do this. And wait, how did I have it? I forgot. Intention, and then threshold. And then we have first light and souvenir and emergence. And so I just chose one card for each of these, but you are more than welcome to pull multiple cards for this. So for damage, I have 7 of Cups. Now, 7 of Cups is known as the fantasy card or fantasizing card. So for me, it's kind of like, oh, when I start dissociating, when I start reading a lot of fantasy books, when I start, really just kind of not wanting to be here, and I'm trying to find escapism or daydreaming, then I know that I may be in a trauma response that I don't often notice. But if I notice I'm doing more of those habits in my day, then this is damage. This is showing, it's kind of like the trailhead of the deeper harm that we need to heal from. And that's how it can manifest in an everyday kind of way. So then intention. For intention, like, what would I like to be, or where would I like to be? And for this, I pulled 2 of Cups. So for me, 2 of Cups can mean like the full integration of yourself with love, that you are deeply seeing yourself, deeply accepting yourself, and deeply loving yourself. You are falling in love with all aspects of you. And that nothing is hidden from anything else. I think it's really lovely intention, or kind of a goalpost to start working towards, because those of us who've had CPTSD and trauma, it's often we have cleaved a part of ourselves away from ourselves in order to survive. So healing means integrating and pulling all of these aspects into a whole and completed self, not cleaving yourself from places of shame or fear or harm. So then we have threshold. Again, what initial challenges or difficult lessons may appear that can block my progress that I need to be aware of. So as I'm starting to do this healing work of integrating all aspects of me, what is going to show up as like those initial challenge areas that are going to try to keep me from doing the work? Because our damage is a way that we learned as children or younger people to survive, but it no longer works. But there's a part of us that's going to want to cling to those broken areas, because those broken areas worked for a really long time, and we fear what it could look like if we let them go. So for threshold, and it's not always negative, but it can be challenges. So for here, I have 9 of Swords. 9 of Swords is nightmare. So it could literally show up as actual nightmares at night, as your fears and your subconscious are trying to keep you from doing the work. It can also show up as heightened fear and anxiety over this time. So one thing that, as I am working to heal from this dissociation and move to a full and completed embodiment, I will feel initially heightened nightmares and heightened anxiety, almost like there is a ghost in the machine trying to keep me from seeing the secret door that I actually need to go through. And instead of running from it or seeing that it itself is a problem, I'm seeing it as the mirage for trying to just keep me from doing the work and keep me from getting onto the other side. So in a weird way, I can see it as kind of a good sign, even though it's not comfortable. So we'll be feeling this heightened anxiety, this heightened fear, but there have no fear, because as we move through the threshold, we come to first light, which will be some of the first signs that show us and show me that I'm on the healing path. So even though I've got all this stuff going on that's really uncomfortable, I'm going to be seeing signs to show me also that I'm doing good work. And for that, I pulled Three of Cups. And Three of Cups is a card of celebration, joy. For me, it's often a very social card. So as I start making more friendships, as I start really trusting my social groups and not being super hyper independent, or often those of us who had significant trauma, we often self-isolate because we don't trust anyone or we don't trust ourselves. So as I see myself starting to work in these groups and feeling okay in them and not triggered into any kind of like hyper isolation, this is going to tell me that I'm really starting to do that work. And then after that, first light and then emergence. So emergence is what signs will appear that can show me that my intention is being realized, that I've been doing the work, I've been doing the shifting, I've been doing this integration. And interestingly enough, for this spread, I got the Lovers. And the Lovers is kind of like the big magic to the small magic of Two of Cups. So Lovers is that integration, that I'm going to see that more embodied, bringing in all those little broken parts and bringing them back into the mothership, for lack of a better word. But now the Lover shows up as like the big archetype of that, of truly seeing and knowing the self. And so we see that our intention was kind of small potatoes, but in fact, what we get at the result of doing the work is the big potatoes, the big, huge archetypal shifts within our internal landscape. So then, as you come out of that process of healing, we have souvenir. And then what I mean by souvenir is, what tools, lessons, habits, or skills will I take with me after having gone or undertaken the work of healing this? And interestingly, I got Page of Wands. And for me, Page of Wands is very much just like, I mean, I love the way this deck depicts Page of Wands. She's got her magnifying glass. She is ready to unravel a mystery. So I learn from the result of this work to lean into my curiosity, to lean into my flexibility, my creativity. And whenever I think that maybe I'm at a dead end, or I don't know where to go, or maybe this is it, it's time to get curious and find the clues to the path. So as a result of going through this, we move forward with these extra skills and our trust in them. And then finally, and I saved this for the last, which is who attends to this. And I got Knight of Swords. You may be saying, Knight of Swords, what the heck? Why that doesn't make any sense. Actually, for me, it makes perfect sense because the Knight of Swords, from an IFS perspective or like an internal parts perspective, I very much have a very defensive and aggressive part within me that wants to keep me safe. And so this is actually really great because the threshold, right, being like, oh my god, I'm so scared, like if I start like bringing this integration, maybe I will get hurt more, maybe I will let people in that will harm me, or maybe you know, I feel the anxiety of no longer dissociating. But above me is Knight of Swords. This is my own archetypal, you know, Joan of Arc, who is fighting with me and fighting for me and fighting alongside me. And I can invoke that internal archetype of the strong, fierce, honest, and directive part of within me to hold space to allow this to happen. And Knight of Swords is very protective. So whenever I might feel unsafe, I can invoke or ask that protective part to show up and help keep things safe while I do the work. So as you'll notice, the spread is less about like, well, what do I do? Like that is a spread for another day of like, what, how do I actually heal from, you know, my trauma or whatever it is for you. This is more about, how do I know it's working on the meta level, and how will I encounter the work that needs to be done as I figure out it needs to be done. So I hope you enjoy this spread. I hope it brings you a lot of insight, but most importantly, I hope that it gives you a beautiful little roadmap for your own healing and growth. So enjoy. I would love to hear in the comments if you do this and what came up for you. It was something I did for myself a while ago, and I thought maybe you'd like it too. So happy tarot reading, friends. Bye.